This is Ryan Radke, voice of Sunday Night Football on Westwood One, and you're tuned into Bay Area Sports Wrap.
Actually, a gain of 43, longest of the year, first and goal. It is Garindo inside to the end zone. San Francisco takes the lead.
They're just going to wipe it down on that side right there. And I tell you, the 49ers, I don't know what the speech was in the locker room, but it had something to do with, I bet if we start getting a little physical out.
Hey, good evening. Welcome to Bay Area Sports Wrap. Alongside Coach Ryan Leong. I'm Marko Ukalovic, and welcome to our Week 8 49ers recap as the 49ers took on the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football and defeated them 30-24. It looked like it was going to be a blowout, but the 49ers secondary allowed CeeDee Lamb to have a day in the fourth quarter and made the game very interesting toward the end. But the 49ers held on and are now atop of that crazy NFC West division at 4-4.
Are they on top of the division now, or where's Seattle at right now?
So here's the thing: Seattle, Arizona, and the Niners are all 4-4, and then you have the Rams at 3-4. And the only reason they're not ties because they've had their bye week already.
Uh-huh.
So that's you have the wild west. Everyone is 500, and they're all in first, tied for first. And now you have the Niners going on their bye week, which is a much needed bye week considering the injuries that this team is suffering so far.
All right, and on that note, Marko, as you mentioned, I'm dressed like Coach Ditka because this is the Halloween edition, and we're going to play for you here the inspiration to why I'm dressed like Coach Ditka.
Welcome to the NFL.
There's nothing like being in the NFL, so get in the action. Come on, get into it.
Now you're in the NFL when you get into the NFL Pro Line, because now with the NFL Pro Line, you can get the real thing. The same equipment Mike Ditka and all the rest of the NFL coaches use, the tools of the trade. Coach's shirts and shorts by Bike. Coach's cap by Sports Specialties.
Same one I wear.
Sweater by Cliff Engel.
That's my sweater.
And the starter jacket, custom tailored, custom designed.
Who's the new coach?
You could be next.
Look for the authentic NFL Pro Line.
Okay, get into it.
NFL Pro Line, get into it. For your NFL Pro Line catalog, send $1 with your name and address to 6921 Preston Road, Dallas, Texas, 75205. NFL Pro Line, get into it.
Yeah, Ryan, get into it.
Get into it. I miss the 80s, right? What a great ad. Voiced by the late, great Harry Callis, and a catalog for $1. I mean, this stuff is still great. I mean, they still make great products. You saw the sweater. I'm wearing a vest that I actually got, and these things never go on eBay. So whoever was the guy that put it out there, thank you so much. Because if I'm going to be Ditka, I'm not going to be wearing a knockoff.
Yeah, exactly. And hey, you do a great job looking like Ditka. You grew the mustache and everything.
Yeah,
and that's awesome. With Halloween, just a couple days away here, and so we decided, at least Ryan decided to have a little fun with this as we do our 49ers recap. Look at that, got the props and everything.
Oh yeah, and it worked, and it was great with the ladies. I went to a couple of Halloween parties, and the ladies love Coach Ditka. The Bears.
Awesome. That's so cool, man. I mean, if I was going to dress up, I'd probably be like Dee Snider from my Twisted Sister, but with the whole ensemble and everything. But I digress. As we watched last night, you had the 49ers again at home. You had the Dallas Cowboys coming into town. Limping into town is just as far as their play goes, not necessarily injuries. And the 49ers, they end up losing a couple of guys in that game. Jordan Mason was one of them, the running back. He re-injured the shoulder again. Deebo Samuel was out for a bit, suffering what was described today by Coach Kyle Shanahan.
Hey, you're thinking the old days, right? Because Mike Shanahan would have been a coach back in this era.
Yeah, exactly. See, I got the 80s thing going in my mind right now. That's why I said Mike instead of But anyway, this is second day post game conference, the Monday post conference. Excuse me. He had basically said that Samuel Deebo, he basically had an oblique and a rib injury. And so, again, they walk out of that game wounded again. And it's just, how much can this team take? And
Yeah.
again, this division, when this team is healthy, is theirs for the taking, theirs for the running. Now, he said that they expect, and I say he, I mean Shanahan, expects Juwan Jennings to be back and CMC, if all goes well and there's no setbacks, he is expected to practice after next week as well and hopefully make his 49ers 2024 season debut. So they're trending now in that right direction, but this was a game they needed to have, Ryan.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean Coach Ditka? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry, I mean Coach Ditka. Excuse me.
I'm enjoying wearing this vest too much. I'll tell you. No, they definitely needed this game, no question. I mean, you can't go into a bye week being 3-5. I mean, George Kittle said it on National Tight Ends Day, by the way, which he created.
Right.
And that was great that he set all these records. I guess he passed Dwight Clark on the all-time tight ends receiving list, right? And I think he's like what, 5th all-time in receiving yards for a tight end as well.
At least so now, yes.
I mean, he's already basically like hey, make the bust in Canton for him now. I mean, it's going to be him for it's going to be waiting for him when he retires after a long and productive football career. But it was great watching the rookie Isaac Guerrero. I mean, he had a great game, right? 14 carries, 85 yards, including his first career touchdown. Ricky Pearsall getting involved as well because the Niners don't have any, right? All the receiving corps is pretty much injured. I mean, no third and Juwan Jennings being out, and Ayuk, of course, is toast now for the rest of the year. And who knows when he's going to come back, right? Because it takes at least one full year to come back. If he comes back next year, he probably won't even be ready until maybe sometime in November.
Yeah, possibly.
If he comes back then, right? It could be even later.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, so it was great talking to Ricky Pearsall. In fact, I got his thoughts also talking about what it was like to play in his first ever Sunday Night Football game.
Experience like for you to play in your first Sunday Night Football game?
It was amazing. Obviously, having the lights off like that, or the lights on, and the sun down like that was really awesome for me. Good scenery, good environment. A lot of energy from the fans, and that was my first one. So I was excited to be out there, enjoy the moment with everybody.
And then also, Marko, I got the thoughts of Brock Purdy talking about what it was like for Isaac Guerrero to excel like that. Since it wasn't too long ago that Purdy himself was a rookie.
Yeah, man. Extremely happy for him, the way he comes to work every day and stuff, and the chip that he has on his shoulder. Humble dude, is always asking questions and wants to make sure he's doing everything right. So for him to do what he's doing right now for our team, man, I couldn't be happier for him. And I get it, man. Being a rookie, coming in with some guys on the team and some big names in the huddle and everything, you can sort of be awestruck in a sense, but he's coming in, man, just he doesn't care. He's grabbing the ball and running hard. So I appreciate that about him.
Yeah. So and it's good that Brock Purdy, again, this guy has been described by all the different critics out there that he's not this and not that, or what have you, not as athletic as some of the other NFL quarterbacks, but the guy just gets the job done, and that's what he did in this game. Again, you have George Kittle on National Tight Ends Day, have one of his best games of his season, with 6 receptions, 128 yards to go along with that touchdown. And it's good that they're finally getting him involved, and they need to, because again, when you have the running game that's not at 100%, have the receiving core at 100%. Kittle has to be the guy that takes advantage of these mismatches, and they had a lot of them against Dallas in that game last night. So it's good to finally see him getting the reps, the targets that he deserves, because he's not just the guy who catches the ball out in the slot. He does a great job run blocking and then blocking for his fellow receivers when they catch the ball. So I like to see George Kittle get rewarded like that, and finally he did last night.
Yeah, no, it was really definitely important to see his contributions. I mean, not only certainly one of the best games of the season, probably one of his career, I would imagine, right? I mean, when you able to have 128 yards receiving on 6 catches, I mean, that's just phenomenal production. But you look over the stats a little bit, and the Niners kind of got maybe in a way lucky because, I mean, the Cowboys are a team with so much hype, right? But they just never seem to deliver. I mean,
Right.
outgained on rushing yards. What was it? 223 to 56.
Wow.
And then on total offense, it was 469 versus 292.
Yeah.
I mean, the Niners just dominated this game. The score is a lot closer than it should have been. They dominated in those categories. They dominated time possession. They dominated in third down conversion. Third down efficiency was 8 of 16 for the Niners and 4 of 12 for the Cowboys.
Yeah, and then think about all those yards that the Cowboys got were toward the end in garbage time. When they made the score, like you said, closer than it really was, because the Niners did dominate them through really the 3.5 quarters, and then you had the Cowboys and CeeDee Lamb kind of go off on that Niners secondary toward the end of the game where he was left wide open twice for touchdowns. But again, you can't forget about how Nick Bosa just dominated that offensive line. Dallas Cowboys. He was in that backfield practically every snap that I was watched, and he forced a lot of bad throws when he wasn't sacking Dak Prescott. He was forcing him into bad throws. So you look at the way that the defensive line has been so steady for the 49ers, and that's been the one stalwart of this team that A, hasn't gotten injured, and when you think about it, and then B, that they've consistently played really good the entire season so far, where you can't say that about some of the rest of the team.
No, certainly not. I mean, and nothing else. The Niners really, they absolutely need this bye week. This is as much as this game was a must win, they're in a must period of rest. I mean, they absolutely need rest and just get rested, recovery, maybe go on a little vacation. Hopefully these guys are going to go somewhere and just get away from football, because I really think that the NFL, the way it's played now, is there's just too many games, man. I mean, I don't know how. You think back to the days in the glory days of when John Madden was coaching the Raiders, 14-game schedule, right? I mean, that was probably I can only imagine how some of the old time coaches go, how the heck do these guys play a 17-game schedule? And I know pretty soon, I guarantee you, I think within 5 years, maybe 10 at the most, they're going to be playing an 18-game schedule.
Right. And now you also got to factor in the Thursday night games now.
Yep, right.
Your teams will play 2 games in 4 days and not practice and not get the rest that their bodies deserves. And so, it is crazy the amount of games that these teams play. And it's no wonder we see the injuries that we do now, where we didn't see that many. I mean, we grew up in the 80s watching football, and in the 90s, there was never this catastrophic amount of injuries on one team just about the first 8 weeks of the season.
Right.
We didn't see that. And so now, you think about the way the NFL scheduled now with 17 games, and you got Thursday games, and now there's going to be a Black Friday game and all this stuff. It's getting to the point where teams aren't going to be ready because physically, and then they won't go through the reps of practice like they used to. Teams used to practice 5 days a week. Now they practice 3. It's crazy.
And when you were in high school, what position did you play? Were you offensive or defensive line?
Well, I played both. Junior I had to play both ways, so I was an offense and defensive lineman, and same thing senior year as well. But mainly I was our left tackle, offensive tackle for the majority of my senior year. And it's one of those things where you're hitting somebody on every play. And I remember back to my junior year when we had to play both sides, we'd be gassed by the time the fourth quarter came. You get tired eventually, just knowing you're out there on every play, right? And so I can only imagine how it's like for these guys to play on a Sunday and then have to play on a Thursday. It's crazy to think about, but that's what the NFL is. It's today's NFL.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, let's talk a little bit before we go here about. I know you weren't able to beat the Niners with me, but you got a chance to see the Warriors home opener and then to check out a metal band. What were your impressions so far of being at that Warriors home opener? Your first time, by the way, as a member of the press.
Yeah, that's right. It's my first time at a Warriors home opener as a member of the press, and they kind of went all out for the pregame introductions at Chase Center. And it's unfortunate that the Warriors played a good first quarter, but then they didn't play 3 good quarters after that. And they allowed the Clippers to dominate them defensively, which had a lot of sloppy turnovers. I believe 22 was the final total count last night. And then they were just shot horribly from the beyond the arc. And you can't have that. When you have those two things going in a game where you're not shooting well from 3-point land and turning the ball over consistently like they did, it's a recipe for a loss, and that's exactly what happened. We didn't see those in the first 2 games on the road with what the Warriors did, but it reared its ugly head yesterday at the Chase Center, and unfortunately, the Warriors suffered their first loss. But it was still a decent game because the biggest lead that the Clippers had was 11 points. And so then the Warriors would cut it to like 5 or 6 or 4. And one point, it was down to 1. It was 103, 102 at one point. But then the Clippers, boom, they get a layup, and then they get a 3-pointer. Now it's back up to 6. And then the Warriors just never recovered from there. And they might have run out of gas. Who knows? But the situation was, you had the Clippers on a back-to-back night, and yet they'd come out of there with the win. And so the Warriors just got to regroup. But they're going to have to do without Steph Curry. He's out now for a couple games. He injured his ankle, twisted it twice actually. DeAnthony Melton's going to be out now. He's got some back spasms hitting him, and they might be out without Andrew Wiggins, who's also got a little back issue. So, the Warriors, again, they off to a great start, about 2-0, and now they're going to see how this depth that they brought in. Mike Dunleavy bringing in guys like Buddy Hield, and the cast of characters that they have now on the bench. And we'll see how Moses Moody and all those guys do, because they're going to be up now and playing significant minutes in these next few games. So we'll see how the Warriors do in these next couple games coming up.
All right, well, we'll close it on that note. We don't want to make this too long of a podcast, because when we come back for next week, we'll have more other things to talk about. Probably, maybe we'll also sprinkle in the San Jose Sharks about how they're doing, which is, I tell you, the Sharks surprised me, because I thought they were going to be off to a better start. And I think losing that opening night against the Blues sent them down, gave them the blues, and they've been losing every game since, right? Or how did they do against Utah?
Well, so here's the thing. Breaking news. They finally get off the schneid.
Oh!
They won tonight.
Hey!
4 in overtime. Alex Wenberg gets the game winner with on the power play. It was a shot from the point. He redirected behind the net. The rebound came out perfectly to him. He buries it in the back of the net. They beat the Utah Hockey Club 5-4 in overtime, and the San Jose Sharks finally have a win in the 24-25 season. So congrats out to head coach Ryan Rostorski and everyone there on the team.
Excellent. Well, on that note, he's Marko Ukalovic. I'm Coach Mike Ditka. Now I'm Ryan Leong. This is Bay Area Sports Wrap. We'll see you next time.
4-4, beg your pardon.
No, I was scratching it up.
30-24.